All right, so what we're gonna do today is talk about how to build an artificial lung. But before we get there, let's just go ahead and look at a simple model here of what your lungs more or less look at. Obviously, this is a model and it's relatively simple, but as we look at them, if you get close enough, you'll see there's this little tiny muscle here, which is actually a whole separate organ. It's called the diaphragm. And if you look at the bottom, this is actually not part of the lungs. And depending on the models that you can purchase or get at your school, some will actually show hard grained into the actual body right here, a diaphragm. Sometimes you can detach it and sometimes you can't. But what's interesting and what these two lungs or these models of lungs don't really do a good job of is actually showing that there are two different organs. There's the lung and there's the diaphragm itself. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get this model out of here and we'll go ahead and talk about how the lungs actually work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at differentials or pressure differentials, excuse me. And what we're going to do is basically you'll need a little plastic cup. You'll need a straw. There'll be some duct tape, a balloon, and then another, the greater portion of the balloon. As you can see the nipple right there, you'll chop it off and then just try to get it around the edge of the cup. So what happens is, as you put on the diaphragm here, in this case, this 3/4 of a balloon, you ultimately want to create a seal at the bottom end. And at the top, you want to go ahead and insert the straw that has been duct taped to a balloon that has been wrapped around the straw in its entirety. This way we go ahead and get a seal from the duct tape to the balloon, connecting to the straw, and then ultimately you'll also find sometimes the air can leak in here, so to use a silly putty or some kind of more or less gooey substance, even glue sometimes is a great fix to make sure no air gets in there. And ultimately today we'll just go ahead and demonstrate how the lung's going to work. And quite simply, if you were to look at the straw being the trachea, and then the balloon being the lungs, and then this white part of the balloon being the diaphragm, and inside of your chest cavity, represented by the plastic cup, we can see how one breathes. So what happens is when the diaphragm goes down, the lung increases. And when the diaphragm relaxes, what ends up happening is the lung shrinks, and by doing so, the differentials and pressures, the air actually goes out the trachea, or you end up exhaling. And what you can see is you have the diaphragm going down, coming back, going down, and coming back, and going down, and coming back. What you actually see is the lung inflating with air based on pressure differentials inside the chest cavity. And that is our artificial lung. Thank you.